In this video, I want to talk a little bit about grabbing the ledge with Ganondorf, as he has a few routes to do so, and each one of them carries certain advantages and disadvantages. However, that being said, there is one technique that I will spend an extended period of time talking about because I believe it to be the best option. That option is the subject of this video. But before we get into that, let's talk about some other options first, the more common ones. So first up, let's talk about the most basic one that everyone does with every single character, one of the first things you ever learn in Melee, which is wave dash back to ledge. Obviously, this is Old Faithful, right? But it lacks in several regards. These shortcomings all stem from the fact that Ganondorf has a small dash dance range. This means that if you aren't already close to ledge, then you're gonna have to spend at least some time turning around before getting in position to wave dash back. Most of the other options I talk about in this video will actually be variants of wave dashing back to ledge. The main difference is just how they get in position to do the wave dash back in the first place. Of all the included options, this one is only the fastest if you're already in position to grab the ledge when you start out. For example, when you have just performed a backwards facing aerial at ledge as part of an edgeguard sequence, then you're already going to be in position, so you can just let Old Faithful do the heavy lifting for you. A quicker way of getting in position that doesn't involve a laggy run turnaround is to run towards the ledge, wave dash towards the ledge, and then perform a smash turn and wave dash back towards the ledge. This is significantly faster since it skips the laggy run turnaround animation, or the long time that it takes to completely stop and then turn around. However, it's still not as fast as you can get, because it still requires you to add in an extra wave dash that you normally would not be performing if you were using one of the better techniques. So, how do you skip the second wave dash animation? Well, by teetering. If you run towards the ledge and then you let go of your stick at the right time, your character will begin to teeter. From here you can dash back and then wave dash back to ledge. In this way you spend the absolute least amount of time possible traveling away from the ledge, only one frame for the dash back. However, there are two more ways to grab ledge that actually do not require you to move away from the ledge at any point during the sequence. The first of these is only performable on tri-platform stages. This is simply performing a platform waveland and then fast falling towards the ledge. Due to the height of the platforms, this is actually not as fast as teetering in some scenarios. Whether or not this saves frames is context dependent due to Ganon's slow run speed. When you are farther away from the ledge, it's probably quicker to do this option since you get a speed boost from the waveland, but when you are closer, teetering or wave dash pivoting becomes much faster. However, you can increase the speed of this technique by a few frames by making sure to perform the waveland out of Ganon's back hop instead of a normal full hop or instant double jump. This is due to some ECB jank and isn't really worth covering in this video. All you should know is that you should probably be back hopping when you waveland because it lets you waveland a few frames sooner. To show this in motion, here you can see a comparison of the timings, both on the waveland itself and for his no impact land, which shares a very similar timing. Another way to speed this up is a moondrop, something which actually foreshadows the next option. By inputting a moonwalk input just before you slide off the platform, you can actually turn around before falling off. This lets you not waste any frames turning around before starting your waveland, since you can just turn around a frame or two before falling off anyways. Now, despite this technique being contextually slower than some of the other ones covered, it is here that we begin to see the emergence of additional option coverage. During the time you spend in the waveland, you can react to what your opponent is doing off stage. Because you end up in a position on the platform at a medium vertical height, you are in the perfect position to cover either a high recovery option or a low recovery option on reaction. From this point, you can react to a high recovery attempt by jumping out and hitting a tipman. Or you can react to a low recovery option by falling down with a stomp, or a fast fall to ledge for a quick ledge hog. I believe that for most players, this option probably has the highest viability of the options discussed in this video. This is due to its ratio of its ease of execution to its reward. However, there is one option that is much more difficult to execute, but combines the best of both worlds, having both amazing option coverage and speed. Alright, and here it is, we've arrived at it, the best option. You want speed, you want option coverage, we've got it, baby. Not only does this next option retain the option coverage of the platform waveland, but it is also the fastest possible way to grab ledge in the entire video game. It spares absolutely no frames. This option is wave dash towards ledge into moonwalk. Now, this sequence of inputs is actually already quite precise to pull off on a GameCube controller already, but doing it optimally is actually even harder than in the clips I'm showing you right now, because these aren't perfect execution. You see, it's not just as simple as executing a wave dash and then a moonwalk. If you time your wave dash and moonwalk perfectly, you'll actually get something called a moondrop, which I talked a bit about earlier, which is the absolute fastest way to grab ledge. This is because you never spend any time in the slightly slower moonwalk animation. As a rule of thumb, the closer to ledge that you start the moonwalk, the faster this option is, with the absolute perfect timing giving you a moondrop, which again, looks like this when performed on ledge. Now let's take a moment to think about why this actually is the fastest option for a second. Unlike every other option I've talked about today, at absolutely no point during the sequence of inputs do you spend even a single frame stopped or traveling away from the ledge in any capacity. You might initially think that because there's a dashback input needed for the moonwalk that I'm wrong about this, and in most cases this would actually be true. Usually, executing a moonwalk results in a short dash forward before the backwards momentum takes over, even when performed perfectly. However, when executed perfectly in this context, a moonwalk does not actually result in movement in the opposite direction. This is because the momentum from your initial wave dash is carried into the initial stages of the moonwalk, so during the one frame you spent quote-unquote dashing back, you're actually still moving towards the ledge. Okay, so we've established the swiftness of this option, but what about the option coverage aspect of it? Well, it actually follows pretty much the exact same rules as the platform waveland, the only difference being that you don't have as much initial height, but this isn't actually much of an issue. If you react fast enough to a high option, you can jump while still on stage and carry your moonwalk momentum into the air, and then double jump out for a snipe on the startup of a Fox's up B, or hit a Falcon recovering high, pretty much anything you can think of. If they're out there, then you can probably hit them. As for people going low, it's even better. You're already closer to where they are, and thus can get in position to hit them faster. You can react with a moonwalk off up air to snipe options like Fox's up B sweet spot that would otherwise be impossible to hit with Ganon's moves. Don't believe me? Take a look at this clip of me hitting Hack's Money with it. In this scenario, moonwalk off up air was the only possible option Ganon could have taken to secure a guaranteed kill. Down-angled forward tilt wouldn't have hit low enough to hit the sweet spot, and going for a ledge hog in this scenario only covers the ledge itself, meaning that if he decided to side B higher as a mix-up, ledge hog wouldn't have covered it. But doing the moonwalk off up air covers both side B sweet spot and side B on stage without the need of reads. You can just react to the initial sound of up B, and you can just let an up air rip. Okay, well what about up B then? Well, because you got to ledge so fast using this technique, you open up a whole plethora of options. You can cover up B sweet spot with an invincible up air onto stage, or you could come down with an invincible up air to catch spacies who are recovering low. You could also threaten ledge hog and then ledge dash on stage to punish their recovery. I could go on really, but the point is that getting to ledge as fast as possible is imperative to covering recovery options. With a character as slow as Ganondorf, it sometimes takes time to set up covering specific options, so the sooner you're able to get in position to make a decision, the better. And we're basically done with the video now, but a little addendum here. Purely in terms of speed, T-dropping is actually tied for wave dash moonwalk to ledge when performed frame perfectly. The clip you're seeing right now isn't anywhere near to frame perfect because I kinda suck at T-dropping, but I'll take what footage I can get. The one area that this does lack, though, when compared to the aforementioned option, is the inability to carry momentum far off stage. If your opponent is an up B happy spacey, or just someone who likes to recover high in general, then you're probably going to want to forgo T-dropping in favor of the wave dash moonwalk to ledge thing. Even though I will admit, T-dropping is really cool.